In this video, I will show you how to quickly and efficiently run comps and produce a CMA report. Here we are logged into my MLS interface with CRMLS, California Regional MLS. Now, even if you don't have the same MLS, you can apply these same principles to whatever MLS you use. I've been running comps for over 20 years. I've used multiple MLSs over that time. The software interfaces have changed dramatically over that time as well, but the principles are all the same. And they're actually quite simple. But I'll show you what I do, and you'll get an idea of how you can apply it to your own search. So it all begins with a subject property, and that can be identified in the realist tax. So typically, an MLS will have some sort of tax search that pulls up public records, because you want to pull up the characteristics of the subject property. How many bedrooms does it have? How many bathrooms? What's the square footage? What year was it built? Those are the most fundamental. And then we're going to come back over here. Now, I chose some random property that just came on the market today. You'll see 0 days on the market. So this is my subject property, just some random active listing. And I see that it has a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,500 approximately square feet, built in 2016. Okay, this is what I need to get started. So I go over here and I'll begin by selecting the statuses. I'll do coming soon, active, active under contract, which is also called contingent or backup on other MLSs. Basically, it just means that there's an accepted offer, but the seller is entertaining backup offers. Pending, which is in escrow, and then closed. Now, by default, it goes back 180 days. And considering that, so we're recording this October 14th, September and August were pretty crazy months in terms of changing direction in the market. Big monthly decrease, arguably the most dramatic in well over a decade. So that should be taken into consideration, but we can adjust this as needed. We'll do single family residence because the subject property is an SFR. Now, if you have CRMLS, there's a wonderful tool. And your MLS, because this is a matrix platform, your MLS may have the same thing, but I can take this, I can copy the address, and this is what I do when I'm running comps, and I just put it in here. And what this does is it makes the subject property the epicenter of the geographic area that it's looking for comps. And by default, it looks within 1 mile. Now, you don't want to go 1 mile away from your subject property unless you're in a rural setting, because it's too far. So let's whittle it down to a half a mile. Now let me say this at the outset. Comps are really simple. In a perfect world, you could find identical properties, model matches. Your property has 2,500 square feet, so does that one. Your property has 3 bedrooms, so does that one. But it doesn't work that way. So the whole game with running comps is how close can you get to identical characteristics where you can still produce some comparable numbers. Like I have 20 matches down here, because it's a matter of just expanding the criteria in a very flexible way. So you put the same number of bedrooms. So we'll put 4. I'll just show you right now. We'll put 4 bedrooms. So now we only want comparable properties that have 4 bedrooms. For living area, since we're at 2,500 square feet, let's go 2,400 to 2,600. And we'll do a range. Now that brought us down to 4 matches. Let's expand this a little bit because this might be too tight. This criteria should be loosened up a little bit to give us, so that just 2,300 to 2,700 got us 5. Let's go to 2,200 to 2,800. That put us at 11. That's much better. So now we've narrowed it down to very similar properties in terms of number of bedrooms and size within a half mile. Let's take a look at that map real quick. This map feature is wonderful. So we can see the subject property indicated by this red dot. And then we can see that there are other search results that are in this same area. And let me stop clicking on these. And we can see the half mile radius denoted by the blue line. The thing is that ideally you want to stay within the confines of the subdivision of your subject property, because when you cross these, not always, sometimes you have to for comps, but when you cross a major thoroughfare, usually it's a different subdivision and it's not as similar because it's not the same builder. Let's go back here and play with the criteria a little bit more. Let's go down to just a quarter mile. That brings us down to 9 matches. I'm totally fine with 9 matches. Ideally, it'll be under 12 and at least 6, but I'll use 4 if I really have to. I used to do BPOs for banks for years, broker price opinions. So this stuff I can do in my sleep, but it's really simple. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's that you're just trying to refine criteria to be as similar as possible, but still produce results. We'll go back to the map real quick. We can see there's plenty in here within the confines of this subdivision. Let's go to the one-line results. All right. So our subject property comes up here, 99 Thoroughbred, because it just came on the market today. And we see that there's another active and another, so that's good. There's one that's in escrow or active under contract. And then we have 5 that have sold. Sold are always the best comps because that actually shows you what someone actually paid. Never mind a pie-in-the-sky asking price. We know what is real or will perform in an open market by what a buyer's paid for it. So that's why we have these sold comps. And we can see here that they're all 4-bedroom. They're all more or less the same year, although these are brand new homes, 2023, 2022, but those are the active ones, so they carry less weight. And see how these are priced higher? So these aren't the best comps, but it gives you an idea of what, active comps serve as a purpose to show you what the competition is for your active listing. Now, we can already see that in this area, Thoroughbred's the only active listing and in that quarter-mile radius. So that's good. That means there's less competition, and they're the least expensive active listing. We go down here, and we see that, so that they were asking 2.2 for a similar-sized property, a little bit bigger. This is a nice comp right here, Copper Mine, because it's exact same bedrooms and baths, almost identical square footage. Year built is 2014 versus 2016. That's not a great range. I remember when I first used to run comps in this real estate office I worked at, the broker told me go 5 years either direction. Well, I don't even think you need to do that. I think those are too wide of criteria. But either way, I think this is a good indicator of where pricing is and what's reasonable. And we can see with this is a very nice comp right here, this Copper Mine, that asking $2,080,000 is fairly reasonable. Of course, how long ago did this one sell? This one sold. Well, okay, so this closed escrow in April. So, things have changed dramatically since April. But anyway, this is up to the homeowner and the agent to scrutinize. I mean, I could nitpick all day, but there's no point in it. So what I'm showing you is that I'd be happy with this as comps. Now you can just totally deep dive on each one of these and look at each one and how much they've been remodeled and which one has a pool, and that's where you can really refine your criteria. And it's good too. That helps you educate yourself. So when you're speaking to your client, you can distinguish the fine details and nuances between each property. But for the sake of producing comps, just to show you what I do, this is what I would do. And I'd go through each one of these and I'd look at each listing individually and determine whether or not it actually competes with my listing or the value that I'm of the property, the subject property. All right. With CRMLS though, here's the nice thing. So they have a CMA tool. I don't use that at all. I go over to print, and you have all these options of different types of ways to print. But down here, you can create a quick CMA report. And then you can produce a PDF that you can save to your computer. And it has this very nice and succinct CMA, which stands for Comparative Market Analysis. And it shows you active properties, pending properties, and closed properties. It shows you the bedrooms and bathrooms, days on the market, square footage, and then it even has maximum, minimum, average, and median. So this is what I produce. When I am giving something to a client, I get a CMA report. I attach all the listings. So I go back here. Let's jump back here. So we have our CMA now. So let's go back in here. And we'll go back to results. And then I will take all these listings. I'll do the same thing. Actually, I'll print. I'll do a client. Let's do a client or customer full, they call it. Let's preview it. So you'll print all these out so that your client can look at this report and then look at the corresponding listing, and they can see all the details. They can read about it. I actually do one with pictures because basically you want to inform the client as much as possible and show them the CMA report, show them the listings, so they can determine, okay, well, this home has a view and my home doesn't, or this home has a pool and my home doesn't, because those details are the topics of discussion, and those are factors that will help you understand why a property is not moving, because you can have two properties in the same neighborhood and one sells for considerably more than another, and maybe it's because the other backs up onto the major thoroughfare or some other, let's say, some other characteristic that makes it less desirable. That's why I almost never use price per square foot with residential comps. I just think that works with commercial, but I just don't think it's appropriate with residential, because with residential, there's just too many compensating factors. Now let me jump back to the map real quick. So I look at these where I will just click on each listing and I'll try to understand the neighborhood from this overhead view and really try to figure out why certain properties fetch more than others and what that means. Are they at the end of a cul-de-sac? That's valuable. But do they back up on a busy road? Maybe this is really loud, maybe it's not. I mean, I think about all these things. Are you right by the entrance to the clubhouse? I mean, I think about all these things while I look at this map view, and I can click on each listing. And that's pretty much it. You've seen now how to find comps. You've seen how to create a CMA report. I've explained that I take the CMA summary and I combine it with the MLS listings, and I put that together in a listing presentation. And that's it. That's comps. And you'll basically want to tighten the criteria as much as possible, whereas you're avoiding using very loose criteria. But you also want to keep it tight enough to produce, let's say, 4 to 12 listings, ideally most of them being closed and as recent of time frame as possible. Let me show you. Sometimes you need to shave this off and go down to 90 days. So even if I go back 90 days for closed, I still have 7 matches. Let's look at the results real quick. I have 3 sold. This is probably what I'd be using. And I'd go through each one of these and ask myself, why do I think they sold for that? And that's it. That's running comps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.